Alrighty, folks. Good afternoon. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. As you'll have to excuse me real quick. All right. No, there we go. There we are. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So first of all, good afternoon, folks. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your Wednesday. Yeah, that's what it is. You know it's bad when you have to kind of start to figure out, all right, what week are we on? Or what day are we on? So, good afternoon, folks. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. As once again, trying to make sure we know what day it is, as we definitely got quite the system going on coming in this weekend, and we're gonna hop right on into it. I'm gonna go ahead and make this a quick 30-minute just kind of update. Feel free to come in and chime in on any questions, anything like that. So we're gonna run until 6:45. Keep it fairly short and simple for you, but we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. As Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and early morning Monday, we do have a significant winter storm um, looking very much likely over the weekend, and could bring upwards to a foot and past that across the western Ozarks and North Cumberland River area. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. First of all, let's kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. So I'm going to keep it at national for now because we'll go a little bit more localized later on. So first things first, we're going to look at the European model, the ECMWF, and I wonder if we do have a newer update. We do. Perfect. That's what I was wondering earlier. So we're going to look at the 18Z European model. Just kind of get an idea of when this might be coming in. So first of all, on excuse me, Friday is when we start to see precipitation possibly come in very late in the evening. However, this has it fairly delayed, and I have not seen this new model. I've only seen the 12Z. So we're going to go ahead and look at this together for the first time. So you can see right around midnight Friday, or excuse me, midnight Saturday, and early morning Saturdays when we start to see those impacts in the greater northwest Arkansas area. As you can see, we start to see it excuse me, you start to see impacts around 6 a.m. and we start to get that heavier snow. Now, as you look towards a little bit towards Fort Smith, we could be seeing a little bit more a little bit heavier snow, as well as a mix of sleet is possible as well. But as we start to get into the noontime hours and late afternoon, and early afternoon, you can see that we really start to have that heavy snow, and this will be a very fluffy snow. There will be a lot of accumulation when this snow does fall. And so you can see that it continues overnight and into Sunday as well. And then it finally starts to roll out about midday Sunday. And as that system then rolls off to the East Coast. And so now for my Kentucky people as well, when does this start to roll in for us? Well, excuse me, you can see that about Saturday, a little bit past noon, a little bit past noon or just before noon is when we could be seeing our first uh, beginning of snowflakes falling, and then it's gonna come and it's gonna come quick. And don't clip that. As you can see, as you can see, if we roll through the European model, we start to really get some heavy snow and a lot, like, don't get me wrong, northwest Arkansas and the western Ozarks area, you saw that before, but this is going to be really heavy. Like when this comes down, this is probably going to be over an inch an hour. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it was above that, to be honest. This is going to be very heavy snow come Sunday over or going into the evening hours and overnight. As you can see, we do start to have the possibility for freezing rain as well. And that's due to this low pressure shifting a little bit farther north, and we'll get a little bit more into the meteorological side of it a little bit later on. But you can see that we had that low pressure shifting a little bit farther north, and this is where we could see that possibility for a little bit of freezing rain. And this is shifting a lot farther north, and this has been continuing model for the European model. And I just want to clarify this: these models are simply just a um, simulation that gives you an idea as to what might happen. These models, especially, and I know it sounds crazy, but we are still really like far out from this. We are just now starting to get a good grasp on when. or kind of like a timing, how much snow we could see, what our precipitation types are. And we're starting to finally start to see that, and so you'll continue to see changes in the forecast as we go on. So take this with a little bit of grain of salt, but do take this serious as well, because you definitely want to make sure that you're prepared for this, and you don't want to sit there. Well, he said that take this with a grain of salt. Well, take it with a grain of salt in terms of what the actual uh, accumulations and what all we're looking at, because it's going to change. And I'll get into accumulations here in just a minute because I know I'm sure plenty of you were, saying, I'm hearing up to, 2 feet of snow. Is that true? We'll get to that in just one moment, okay? I promise you. Just bear with me. We're gonna get past this first. But like I said, you do see that, and we'll get a little bit more into it first. I do have a little bit of trouble believing that we'll have freezing rain for that long, but we'll get more into the meteorological side of it a little bit later on. But finally, the system shows its last little bit of snow in our north or south central Kentucky area about Monday or about Sunday evening, could even extend into early Monday morning. And so we're going to go ahead and check the GFS out as well as we look at the 18Z GFS, which the GFS has kind of been trashy about this over the last several days, and it's gotten a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, it's gotten better. However, the GFS has not been the best narrator for what it's trying to spit out. So as you can see, about Saturday overnight, about midnight, we start or Friday midnight, you can see that we finally start to have a little bit of precipitation come in. Um, about early morning hours is when we really start to see that heavy precipitation like it's been showing. However, this one keeps the freezing rain south and actually makes it a little bit more of a sleet in Fort Smith and that kind of area. And I know Fort Smith and such is more so out of my coverage area. However, I do understand that there is a few people who watch me that are in the River Valley, so I just want to keep an eye out on them as well. And so you can see that you have snow for a while, and then this is a really interesting thing to me that I saw from this earlier. It kind of stops a little bit and then picks back up with on the back half. Uh, Trash. I personally do not like this model run. I don't see it extremely well. I don't think the GFS is doing that great. But this gives you an idea as to possibilities. And see how, once again, that low pressure is shifted north, bringing that freezing rain all the way to the Tennessee, Nashville, or excuse me, uh, North Nashville, Kentucky, Tennessee borderline, kind of near Allen County and Scottsville. And so that has it, a little bit cooler, and I think that's about more accurate as to where the freezing rain will be. Is just, uh, on the Allen County, Tennessee, uh, borderline is when we'll start to see that. I feel like past Allen County, to the east of Allen County, we will start to see a little bit more of that freezing rain threat as well as with some snow. Now, if you go towards Clarksville and Bowling Green, I do not see that as much as an issue, to be quite frank, uh, on the freezing rain, excuse me there. And so we're gonna go ahead and go back to the 12Z, or actually, like I've been saying over the last little bit, model runs have been a little bit inconsistent recently, and boy oh boy do we have a lot. Wow. Sorry, I'm just kind of going. I'm just kind of like, wow, that was ready for it. So we're gonna go to let's see. Where is Saturday? There we go. Okay, so yeah. So this is kind of showing the start time. This is about midnight of Saturday. As you can see, European has it starting to come in Northwest Arkansas. The Canadian model, the GDPS, I knew I was going to struggle with that, has snow coming in as well. A little bit of sleet down there in the river valley. GFS, a lot heavier snow and some more sleet in the river valley. Um, and then the icon as well is currently showing heavy snow, although it's sleet and ice happening primarily more down towards the Texarkana, Arkadelphia area. Now we do have the name 3 kilometers this far out as well. Now, as we're starting to get real close to some of these more short-term models, you can see that we do have that heavy snow as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to kind of show, just how inconsistent these models can be. So we're going to look at, you saw there what general start time is, generally around the late evening Friday and overnight Friday into Saturday morning is when we'll start to see that snowfall begin in northwest Arkansas. Kentucky will get back to you in just one moment, I promise. But looking at total snowfall, we're going to look at the compare because that kind of, you have different snow ratios. So we're going to go ahead and go all the way out to Tuesday. That way we have more than enough in terms of what we expect. And if you want an idea of just how trash the GFS has been, so this was on the 19th. This was 2 days ago. Um, excuse me there. You can see how not very much snow, some snow, which looking at it here, you can see about 3 or 4 inches, which I say not very much snow. That is a good amount of snow. However, to what we are expecting and what it is calling for, it is a lot different. And so, as you look at future model runs through the GFS, very little here. I mean, that's amazing how little. Look at this jump. The GFS starts to get a hold on it, and it's like, whoa, 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 okay. I'm starting to see what the others want and what the others start thinking. And we go to far south. Well, that's a little bit ridiculous. This was one that was causing some storm last night. Was this model run and it's showing around a foot across northwest Arkansas and the southwest Missouri area. Now, I will say this: southwest Missouri, you still will get plenty of snow as well. However, you will not see as much as the northwest Arkansas and Fayetteville area. And so, I know I've been talking about this for almost 15 minutes, and we'll get to it a little bit more. Just hang with me, y'all. And so as you can see, just finally starting to get a little bit more clarity, and the last 3 runs have been the most consistent. I'll give the GFS credit where credit is due. It has been the most consistent. However, it is still kind of lagging behind some of the others. As the most recent one, which is the 18Z, and one I'm not a big fan of right now, you can see that's showing around 10 inches in the Fayetteville, Benton County area. And then in southwest Missouri, you're still looking up to 6 inches, and in the Nashville area, you're looking up to almost 2 feet, about 1.5 feet, which is a absurd amount. I mean, we haven't had a snow like this in quite a while. Last year we had a ice storm, a pretty good snowstorm as well, but we haven't had that big of one. I believe since the 90s to 70s, or 90s and 70s, if I recall looking at the records earlier. I'll have to look back at them a little bit further so, but as you can see, Bowling Green area, you're still looking above a foot, likely is what I would say. I'd say, or possible. Looking at total ice as well, or excuse me, total freezing rain, I'd rather go to that. You can see that it's all south, all south, all south, and then latest runs pushing it north, pushing it north, pushing it north, and you can see that progression of how things that the low pressure and the freezing rain will start to be a little bit more north. So we're gonna go back to the European and do the same thing because we're not gonna just judge one, we're gonna judge all of them. And so as we look at the excuse me, there we go. All right. So this is Tuesday. This is going to be, we're going to look at total snowfall as well. Like I said, take this all with a little bit of grain of salt because this will change. We don't expect it to change, a whole bunch. We're not going to go from, hey, 12 inches to, hey, we actually only get 2. No, not that much. Subtle little differences, as well as just general timing. And so you'll have to give a little bit of grace on that. Now, uh, European compared to sorry, this is the wrong thing. I do very much apologize about that. I didn't realize I loaded up the wrong thing. So looking at the Europeans' last few model runs, you can see that I don't know what the European was thinking on this. 18, all of it north, none in Arkansas. I don't know what it was thinking there. Which valley? It was very far out. That's kind of what we call a good old pump fake. It's just like a quarterback, ready to throw the ball. It's like, actually, I'm running it now. That's classic good old pump fake. And then 18 or on the 18th 12Z, you can see that starts to pick it up a little bit. And has a heavier snowfall, looking at least 4 inches. This does a little bit more. This adds a little bit more to its coverage, however, a little bit less in the Western Ozarks area. Carrying on to the next one, same story. However, it increases it a little bit farther south and updates the snow quite a bit, and finally gets it into that 1 foot mark of snow, and pushes it fairly far north. And you can start to see that we start to get that consistency. However, it's just a little bit unsure on that fine line. So, once again, here's one of the progressions that we're seeing with farther north snow of this low pressure. And we'll get into it in just one moment, I promise. So, you can see that we have this fine line here, and this is on the 19th. This is where it's saying, hey, we're going to stop seeing snow. This is the freezing line. Um, this is our hard deadline. You can start to see over the next couple of runs how that progressively starts to go north, how it starts to just go a little bit north, or just a little bit more north to the south of Nashville, and kind of like the Murfreesboro area is where that snow starts to drop off quite a bit. And this is still showing that snow going a lot more north. However, Northwest Arkansas, man, I'll tell you what, to my folks back home, I really am concerned a little bit about excessive snowfall, um, upwards to over 1 foot, to be quite honest. I do very much think that that is very much a possibility, and quite honestly, I think it is um, very realistic, and I could see it happening. I'm not going to say it's likely just yet, because we still need to clear up a few details, but I will say that it is looking like that is a trend, that it is trending to be that way. So, enough of the models. We're going to go to the Weather Prediction Center. So, where is it? Da, 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 da. There we go. All right. So this is 24-hour probability of snow accumulation um, over 4 inches. And I chose 4 inches to start with just because if we're doing smaller numbers, we're just kind of going tit for tat. We already know we're going to get at least 3 inches of snow in all areas. I can guarantee you that. Out of everything that you take out of this today, that is the one thing you can take out of it, is that we will see at least 3 inches. So as we start to move in Saturday, or excuse me, Saturday at midnight, you can see that at probability of 4 inches, or a little below 4 inches. You can see that we have about 10% in Northwest Arkansas. However, you get it to about noontime, and we dropped a lot, or we jumped. I don't know why I'm struggling. To about 50% across the Fayetteville area. Go a little bit later on, and the odds are looking a lot better. 70%, and going into Sunday as well, 80%. You're looking pretty good. You don't typically see that unless you're kind of a little bit farther north in terms of certainty this far out. And so if we go to 6 inch, and we look at Saturday about 6 a.m. as well, we start to see a little bit more snow, about 20 to 30%. Then going into noontime Saturday, we got 60%. 60% for over 6 inches in our area is 60 and 50%. It's not something very common. We don't see that very often. And so as well as even going up further past that, 70%. And so we're gonna go ahead and jump up to a foot. We're gonna go ahead and jump up to a foot just because we're gonna be experimental. And this shows at its peak, and this is on day 3, so give it a little bit of grace, about a 20%. And this is where I'm a little bit this is just kind of where I'm a little bit hesitant to say overfoot. Um, I do think that it is very much on the table that it could happen. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty at the moment to sit there and say, hey, we'll get a foot of snow. I would say at least 5 inches is the minimum that we'll get, though. Um, or at least I'd say it's very likely. And the Weather Prediction Center seems to agree with me on that portion. And so looking into the impact level of this. This is going to be very impactful regardless of where you are in Northwest Arkansas, Kentucky. This will be a impactful storm. I want to make that clear. Um, we will see impacts that will cause issues for your daily commute. There will be a lot of issues on the roadways for many days after this. we have a very big cold spell coming with this. Overnight, we're gonna go back to that here. We're gonna go back to that actually, because I want to show this to you real quick. These temperatures that are gonna be following after this storm are going to be dangerous alongside with this snow. If you think it's gonna warm up immediately after the snow, you are dead wrong. And that snow is gonna be there for a minute because look at these. We're gonna go ahead and go to these temperatures on Monday. Look at these temperatures Monday. We are almost breaking into the negatives. That is how cold it will be. Or that's on Sunday. We will be breaking into negatives on Monday. A negative 15 possible on Monday. That is not just, that we're in Minnesota at that point. That is not Northwest Arkansas. That is not the Ozarks. That is Minnesota. And I can tell you what, that is going to cause a lot of issues. Um, and so you definitely want to make sure you are, staying warm. If your power goes out, which there's very much that real possibility of power outages, uh, you know, make sure you're going to. I know there will be some shelters out there that will provide safe transport, and I know as well that you know it'll be hard getting to those with the snow on the ground, but I RDOT, Arkansas Department of Transportation, they do a wonderful job. They have for quite a while now, and so they should be able to at least help a little bit on that. And but that's not the only thing. We also have a wind chill with this. I can't express enough how bad this might be, y'all, and how bad it's going to be. That wind chill, negative 27. Do I need to say any more on just how dangerously cold this will be? This is not going to be a storm that you want to mess around with. This is going to be honestly historic. I would not be surprised if this is a historic storm in terms of not just temperature, but also snowfall. Um, so just please prepare for this, and we'll get more into how to prepare for it just at the very end here. And I also want to show this for Kentucky as well, not just Northwest Arkansas, because trust me, Kentucky, you're going to be there. Kentucky and Tennessee, you're going to be just as cold, if not, uh, a little bit colder in terms of wind chills. So as we go into Sunday and Monday, and look at that. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I hate seeing that. -4 possible on Monday. That can very, very quickly lead to hyperthermia. So please, if you have to go out, if you're gonna go out and pull an Elsa and you want to, or excuse me, an Anna, and you want to build a snowman, then please wear plenty of layers. I mean, it's not even a double layer kind of day on Monday. It's a triple layer. Stay in the house and sit there and gather around the campfire or the fire and sing campfire stories or sing campfire songs or however you want to go about it. But you need to stay warm regardless. And that's also on Tuesday as well. It doesn't, on Tuesday we'll also see those really cold temperatures. And another thing about this is that if you have a weak battery in your vehicle, you definitely need to make sure that, you know, it's charged because these kind of cold temperatures will wipe out a battery, uh, or excuse me, or drain the battery on your vehicle. So that is another issue that could be facing. And so, once again, -20 on Monday for the wind chill. This is at this is at 6 a.m. Going at about noon, still -6 on the wind chill. This is just ridiculous, folks. So we're gonna go ahead and we only got 5 minutes left to keep this under 30 minutes. And I'll do another update a little bit later on after this. But looking at the overall winter storm impacts, I want to show you that finally loaded. So, winter storm impacts. Likelihood of impact. This is your scale, and then this is moderate impact level. There's minor, moderate, major. Looking at moderate, going into Saturday about noon, you can see that pretty almost maxed out. It's very likely for moderate impacts. And you keep going all the way to Nashville, and it is moderate impacts. That's maxed out. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that is maxed out. That is 90. That is 90%. That is a determined. That is a near, you know, guarantee that there will be moderate impacts. And so as we go throughout, and you can start to see that it subsides a little bit, not because the roads aren't going to be as bad, but rather because, in direct correlation to the storm. All the snow will still be there come Monday, come Tuesday, probably come Wednesday, probably Thursday as well, if we're being quite honest. It will take a while for all this to melt. And so looking at major impacts now, and this is moderate's already bad, but major impacts it can be devastating to infrastructure and human life as well. And so you can see in Fayetteville in western portions of uh, or excuse me, eastern portions of Oklahoma and central Oklahoma, basically 60 to 70%. That is still pretty confident for major impacts. Going a little bit later on in time, you can see just north of Bowling Green and even in Bowling Green and Nashville, we start to see those red splotches of 70 or 60 to 7% of chance of major impacts. So we have that potential for major impacts this weekend. You definitely want to make sure you're staying safe during all of this. And here's how you can kind of prepare for all this. So first of all, um, one of the first things that you should do, first of all, is you know, gather emergency items for home and vehicle, food, water, all that kind of stuff. You definitely want to make sure you're doing that. I cannot stress that enough, especially due to the fact that if you go, I've been at some of the stores today, just working at some of them, and people have been clearing out the aisles. And I don't mean this in a way of, panic, run to the store, grab food before it runs out. No, there will be stuff there. However, it is more of a factor of, uh, you need to make sure you're prepared for this as, you're not going to be entrapped for a week. Probably not. But do be prepared for up to a few days of, having to stay home due to bad road conditions. So, just prepare for yourself. And also, it might be a good idea to go ahead and get non-perishable items. Because in case you lose power, you aren't going to have a fridge, you aren't going to have a freezer, you aren't going to have, if you're an electricity person, you won't have electricity, uh, ovens or microwave or anything like that. So just you need to think about that kind of thing. However, once again, excuse me, I completely lost my thought. One of the things that you also want to do is grab some power banks and charge them up. Charge your laptop as well. These can be used to charge your devices. A laptop specifically, my laptop will be charged up as well as another or my other monitor here as well. I'll be charging those up in case I need to, use it to charge my phone as well as a few other power banks. And then check batteries on smoke and carbon dioxide detectors. There's a lot of fatalities that come from carbon dioxide in these cold weather events. The power will shut off, gas leaks, and there is countless stories out there of people dying due to carbon dioxide poisoning because their batteries didn't work or they took the smoke detector down. I'll admit, my smoke detector is not on right now. I actually just before this, it's been off for the last couple of months just because anytime I cook, it goes off. It's very sensitive. Bless its heart. And so I actually just went ahead and put it back up, for that reason. So if that says anything about, how much you should prepare for this and make sure that those work. I already mentioned gather emergency vehicles for home and vehicle. Also on vehicle, definitely make sure you have some blankets to take with you in case you need to, sleep in your vehicle or something. And top off on fuel and your generator if applicable. Some of us have generators, some of us don't. But also make sure if you are running your vehicle, make sure, or like sleeping in your vehicle or staying in your vehicle, staying warm, make sure you have a little bit of ventilation going on, and that way you don't kind of like poison yourself with some of the fumes. Now, most modern vehicles don't really have that issue. However, some older vehicles do have that carbon leak in their vehicles. So definitely make sure you have a little bit of ventilation. I'm not saying crack a window, but every now and again will be good. And start to notice the signs too. If you have hallucinations or you start to feel sick or anything like that, that's probably a good idea. That's when you can start to understand that you could be suffering from carbon dioxide poisoning. Keep water faucets running and open the cabinets under piping. Please, there's going to be a lot of pipe bursts from this. There will be a lot. I can guarantee you that. Even during the cold weather the other day, my grandma, her pipes actually froze, which valid, we're on a well house, but still, she had a small heater on it, and it still froze. So, you definitely want to make sure those are, you know, you keep them running. It might be better to even do just a little bit more than a little dribble. Keep a nice little solid stream going. That way, your water doesn't freeze or anything like that. And if you live in an apartment area, it might be good to spread that word as well. Um, I know I've been telling some of my neighbors about it. They probably look at me and they're like, "Yeah, we already know, dude. Screw off." I understand that. It's just always good in case people don't know, especially on keeping cabinets open as well as that can spread some of the cold air or keep some of the cold air from building up in there. And I don't like this, but I have to mention it. If you must drive, add extra weight to your vehicle for better grip, as well as put some chains on your tires. Um, obviously check whether you're rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, etc. Um, but if you must drive, add some weight. A sandbag, even if you have home equipment, if you have a dumbbell, if you have heck, I don't even know, a suitcase, like a heavy suitcase, anything heavy, throw it in the back of your vehicle. Get a little bit of extra weight on it. Um, excuse me there. Get a little bit extra weight on it. That way, it has a little bit more uh, contact with the ground. You'll have to excuse me there. A little bit more like contact, and you have a little bit more traction to work with. Now, no matter what, you do not want to be on these roads unless you have to. And anyone who is out there that's not part of uh, KDOT or RDOT or MDOT, you definitely need to stay off those roads as much as possible. I even this morning, we had a little bit of freezing rain just north of Bowling Green, near or just south of Elizabethtown, and a little bit north of uh, Oakland. Um, there's already a couple of wrecks, and that's just a little bit of freezing rain, which don't get me wrong, freezing rain is ice. It's slippery regardless. But imagine all of this that will come from this and all that ice. So definitely just be careful out there. And if you are traveling, go well below the speed limit. If you must drive, I'd say keep it under 25. It's not worth your life. It's not worth whatever there is. I understand that there's things that got to be done or there's emergencies. But please, please be safe out there, folks. So one last review. We're over time. I'm gonna go ahead and do one last review before I end this stream. I just wanted to keep it fairly quick because I don't like to sit here forever and kind of repeat myself, and y'all sit there and go, "All right, get on with it, Bubba. We have a life." So we're gonna go ahead and look at the European model one more time because I kind of trust the European a little bit more than some of the other models. Um, and we're gonna go national view. I don't know why it's not there. You'll have to excuse that. But looking at it, so Friday, or excuse me, overnight Friday and to Saturday morning is when snow begins in northwest Arkansas and southwest Missouri and eastern portions of Oklahoma as well as central. Snow will continue the entire day, the heaviest being around the morning hours. Now, as we go through the rest of the evening, um, snow will begin to diminish. However, it will continue into Sunday morning, and we could see even a little bit slight or light to moderate heavy snow going throughout Sunday, and then by the end of the day, Sunday, most of that snow will be cleared out. A little bit of freezing rain is possible in the southern portions of our area and down near Fort Smith, and we could even see a little bit in Washington County. However, I am not too concerned about Washington County with freezing rain too much. However, it is a possibility. Now, as we look towards South Central Kentucky and North Central Tennessee, I can see that we start to see snow creeping on our doorstep. Um, about Saturday, a little bit past noon, probably a little bit right at noon or just a little bit after. We'll start to see that snow. It'll really, and it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna come in and it's gonna come in fast. As that heavy snow is gonna start dropping, and overnight, or Saturday and Sunday, we could see a little bit of mix of sleet and freezing rain. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that precipitation, especially as we get closer. And then by late Monday morning or early Monday morning, that snow will move out of the way as well as that freezing rain. If you're back down near Nashville, I say you have a lot more of a freezing rain threat compared to South Central Kentucky. Now in Clarksville, you'll be seeing a lot more of a snow threat than you will a freezing rain threat as well. And so down, especially east of Nashville, southeast of Nashville, near Murfreesboro and such, you will definitely need to make sure you are prepared for freezing rain, as it's quite likely that even just the smallest little bit of freezing rain can knock out power very easily. Just a quarter inch of freezing rain can cause a lot of issues for travel and infrastructure. So keep that in mind. Total snowfall. I'm not going to show you the map, or nah, I guess I will because we'll go ahead and just keep it in the ballpark or keep her there. So looking at total snowfall, we could be seeing up to a foot in northwest Arkansas. Could be seeing up to a foot as well in southwest Missouri. However, I do think that we'll see a little bit closer to 8 to 10 inches in southwest Missouri. Pittsburgh, and the farther north you kind of go here, I think you'll have a little bit less compared to Fayetteville and such. Like I said, Fayetteville, you're looking up to a foot. Even past that is possible, at minimum 5 inches. Northeast Arkansas, or excuse me, northeast Oklahoma, you're seeing close to a foot. I don't think you'll be there. I still think you'll be around the 8 inch mark. South Central Kentucky, I think this is underdoing it a fair bit. I think we could see a foot of snow. I very much believe that that is a real possibility. Um, as well, and I do think that we'll see uh, at least very major impacts in terms of it'll be major impacts no matter what in all of our area, but we could see up to a foot of snow at least. Oh, I'd say we'll be averaging around 8. Go a little bit farther south into Nashville in the north central Tennessee area. You'll have a little bit less snow and you'll have a little bit more freezing rain. Impacts will be very much or be just as bad as Bowling Green, if not worse, due to that uh, freezing rain threat as well. And then Clarksville as well, you'll start to see that snow as well. Clarksville, more than likely, you will see the most amount of snow, if I'm being quite honest. I could very much see Clarksville seeing the most amount of snow out of this, possibly over a foot. I would not be surprised if Clarksville got over a foot of snow from this band. And so, um, overall, Northwest Arkansas or West Ozarks, you're looking up to 8 to a little over, or excuse me, 6 inches to a foot of snow, possibly up or possibly 8 inches to a little over a foot worth of snow as well, and then uh, Kentucky or South Central Kentucky, as well as North Central Tennessee. You will also be seeing the same numbers. However, down near North Central Tennessee, you'll see a little bit less. I say you'll probably see between 5 to 10 inches of snow and probably up to. Let's go ahead and look at the freezing rain. I did forget to show that for this model run. You'll probably see up to a half inch worth of freezing rain. What does this show? Yeah, about a half inch worth of freezing rain. This shows about an inch, a little bit half inch, but at least about a half inch of freezing rain is possible as well. So no matter what, this is gonna cause major impacts across northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, all of the western Ozarks, all of the south central and north central Kentucky and Tennessee area. We have a winter storm watch in effect right now. I did want to show this one last right before I signed off. Um, you can read that. Uh, you know. we have this confidence in that major winter storm. But this winter storm will be record breaking. We have dangerous temperatures. We get dangerous snow amount, and we have potential for severe icing. This is not something to take lightly, folks. Remember, don't be scared, be prepared. I know that's a slogan that somebody else uses, but it's a very good one to go by. I'm gonna throw this up one last time. That way, you know how to prepare for all this. I hope you have a great day, folks. Stay safe. Please, uh, stay in tune. I'll be doing updates all the way until Monday or Tuesday, depending on conditions. I will be doing continuous updates as well as a couple of live field updates as well will be possible. So stay safe, folks. Stay tuned, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening and have a good one.